Hiya, folks. This is Rick Emmett of Triumph.
This is Mark Merrill, also known as Johnny B. Bad.
Hi, this is a best-selling author. I threw the best-selling in there. Best-selling author Dick Wybrow.
I'm Melanie from Second Shooter.
This is Jeff with Second Shooter.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Allen from Bridges Ablaze.
Hey, this is Sammy Lee, drummer of the band Red Rain.
Yo guys, it's Mark McKay.
Hey, this is Frank Fletcher.
Hola amigos, this is Billy Sheehan.
Hey guys, this is John Karabi.
Hi, this is Jim Valance.
What's up everybody, it's Logan from All the Pretty Things.
Hey guys, it's Leva Leone.
This is Nothing from Inside the Trojan Horse.
What's up guys, Cassandra Carson here from Paralandra and the Life Project.
My name's Reggie and you are listening to the Weekly Pour podcast. Thanks so much for joining the most amazing twosome out there.
It's time once again for the Weekly Pour, the show that knows everything about absolutely nothing. Here are your hosts, TBT and Ace.
Welcome. This is the Weekly Pour podcast. This is episode number 127. I am TBT. That guy over there is Fuzzy Ace. And welcome. It is another Tuesday. We are here. The chat's already popping. Everybody's in. Natalie, the moderator for this week, is there, of course. Mama TBT, Mrs. TBT, the Viper's in. Nat McFick is there. Yeah, it's popping. So if you're watching, be sure to jump into that chat on YouTube or jump into it on the Book of Facebook, as the young'uns call it, because it's there. Post your questions, post your comments. If we don't like them, we'll delete them. It's that simple. We've got tons of news this week. We'll get into it here in a little bit. But wow, it's 50 degrees today. It's 40 degrees yesterday, and Friday is going to be 70.
This is why I'm sick all the time.
Yeah.
This exactly. Is why. And the 50 degrees today was that dreary 50 degrees because it was overcast and rainy and windy, and it was not enjoyable by any means. No, not at all.
Neither were the storms this past weekend.
No, we were unaffected this past weekend. The weekend before, we had lost power, and we have had 2 weekends of tornado sightings, right?
Yeah, and another weekend coming up.
I mean, what is it? Apocalypse coming or what?
Wizard of Oz.
Oh, well, good, because I got a bone to pick with the wizard.
Yeah. Tomorrow, we're still in the 50s. Thursday, we're still in the 50s. Woo! Friday, 75.
Yeah, I should take Friday off.
Absolutely. But it's going to rain.
Oh, crap. Thanks for reminding me. I forgot to go do something at work, and it's important.
Oh, do you have to go do it now?
I have to go now. It's important.
Okay. I guess you forgot to roll up the windows. Kathy is, of course, in. Kathy made a comment earlier that she may not be watching, but she's listening because she's busy packing. And now she says, tornadoes, I don't think I can move there now. Well, guess what? There's tornadoes everywhere.
The potential, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they had some where she's at in that area not that long ago. And plus, they just had 27 feet of snow in a month.
Yeah. We had 15.
So if you think, what are your odds? A snowstorm blowing over you, but you can shovel it away if it does land on you, or the random chance maybe a tornado might hit. Random.
Well, and how long does snow last?
Especially here.
How long does a tornado last?
10 seconds.
Yeah, we're not worried about the after effects. We're just saying, it's 10, 15 seconds. You're done. Snow?
Right.
Snow is days, weeks. Sometimes months.
So, I mean, pick your poison.
Yeah.
Roll the dice. You might get lucky. The tornado might not hit your house.
Might not.
Yeah. It might not.
Yeah.
If the snow does, it'll hang around.
Yeah. But here's the silver lining. No hurricanes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you would know about that.
Right.
You've lived in like all the extreme weathers. Like you lived on an iceberg.
Yes.
You lived on an island full of snakes and heat.
And earthquakes.
And earthquakes. And then you were in Florida where all it does is hurricane.
Yeah.
And you were born here where nothing but tornadoes happen.
Yeah, there was a season of hurricanes. There's so many of them, they had to name a season after it.
Yeah, hurricane season. How are you alive?
Very carefully.
Well, that's why your skills are very much in need in times like this.
Lots of bourbon. Bourbon keeps you from getting COVID or whatever it was called, and keeps you safe from tornadoes and hurricanes. Can't say the same for earthquakes.
No, because it shakes right out of your hand.
Yeah. So shaken, not stirred. I don't know.
A waste of bourbon.
Yeah, exactly. The only bad thing about cold weather and dampness in the morning is when you're driving to work at dark 30, you have to watch out for the deers.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of that here too, but deers are everywhere.
Yeah. Deers and opossums.
Those things are scary.
What, possums?
Yeah, when they hiss at you and shit.
Don't play with them.
But they're cute. You want to pet them, but then they hiss. You know, people tell me they're gentle and they're good for the environment and all that stuff, but I don't know. All I see is ugly teeth.
Yeah. So Mama TBT's got animals over at her place that I would totally pet, but they run away. She's got like in the backyard in the woods. She has a family of groundhogs.
Okay, still.
Yeah. There was one, I think she said it was out a couple weeks ago. He's just chilling, checking out the snow. I don't like it, and runs away.
When after you moved from this neighborhood,
yeah,
we ended up with a group of foxes hanging out, a family. At first, they were hidden, and all we were here were the horrifying yips that they make. You know, that horrifying sound that foxes make.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like either the ghost of Lola Rana or they're killing something, like a cat. But they're not. They're just screaming because that's what they do. And then eventually they come out of the woods, and a neighbor 2 doors down, they would hang out in his backyard. I don't know what he was feeding them, but they would hang out, like 4 or 5 of them.
You know what I have now?
No.
Now.
Skunks.
No, at zero. Since I left that neighborhood, none.
And we have had none since you've left this neighborhood.
Well, that's weird.
It is.
I have, you talking about the screaming foxes. We have the banshee of all owls somewhere around here. And I think I told this story at one point on this show. I was out on the back porch doing something, and I hear this owl. I hear this noise just screaming. It freaked me out. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to walk in the house very quick, like I'm 8 years old and I hear something out in the woods. I walked inside and acted cool. I don't know what it is. And then I walked out front, heard it again. And I'm like, what is that? And I used the old Google and I said, what does an owl sound like? Like a screech owl or a barred owl, whatever. And it was the same noise. And I'm like, that's what it is. So I turned it up real loud and played it, and my phone and that thing talk to each other.
So you toyed with the owl.
I did, and then one of them came by and was like, "Who did that?"
Fuck. Pardon me. It was a terrible joke.
It was. Yeah.
Sorry. I only curse when I'm in a good mood.
Yeah. Well, Viper's getting ready to get banned.
I can't see the chat. I shut it off because I don't want my bandwidth pulling on the video here.
You want the chat to be the blame, because it can't be me this time.
No, you're crystal clear.
If you ever catch that owl, ask him how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop. Yeah, that's original.
You know, and who's to say they all know that?
Who's to say that they're not lactose intolerant and can't have it because it's got chocolate in the middle?
Who's to say they're tired of that joke?
Yeah.
They hear it all the time.
Yeah. and they're going to start saying why instead of who.
Right. I wanted to ask you, I didn't send you this because the audio quality was very poor.
Okay.
But someone posted to YouTube. The video is great, but the audio is on the vocal. Cassandra Carson playing with Lynch Mob and singing Dawkins songs.
Really?
Yeah. It was well enough you could hear what she was doing and all that. It just wasn't great quality for me to say, man, Travis, listen to this. I couldn't do that.
Right.
But it was really impressive though. She In My Dreams. I forget the second song, but it sounded great.
Huh. I have to look
And the comments, the comments were very encouraging because most of those fans didn't know who she was. So they were being introduced to the great singer in Cassandra Carson for the first time through Lynch Mob.
And you said that's posted on the tubes?
Yeah. I was going to send it to you today, but like I said, I wasn't sure if you'd appreciate it as much because the audio quality was it's okay. It's not great.
Right. I'll look at it when I'm looking for it.
Yeah. And they were right on. The people that were videotaping it were very close to the stage. So you think they would have picked up everything, but not so much.
Not so much. I am looking at everything we have going on for the news today, and I don't even know where to start. And we're only 12 minutes into this. So it's not like we have to jump right into it, but good grief, there's a lot to get to and a lot to talk about. So, I don't know where to start. What did we put first on the thing? Skid Row. Let's just start with that to make Viper happy.
Right. It's a nice light story.
Right. In case you have lived under a rock for the past, I don't know, 20 years, Sebastian Bach is still not going to reunite with Skid Row. This was an interview that was with Dave the Snake Sabo, Subaru, whatever. And he was recently asked about the band's future plans because they've been without a singer for a while.
Right.
And with not having, it was Eric Gronwall, who was their last singer. They did a record with him, toured with him a lot, and then with him dealing with leukemia and stuff like that, he had to get bone marrow transplants, and luckily he was able to beat the cancer, but it was like, okay, enough is enough. Your immune system's just beat to crap and all that, so, he essentially he left the band. So, ongoing vocalist search, and according to Dave the Snake, we've been slowly taking our time, but we've been auditioning quite a few people. He is quoted as saying, "We're still auditioning. I have a feeling that we're pretty close, but we're not jumping the gun real fast, obviously. We're just going to make sure that we are 100% in agreement, not just with the guys in the band, but with the people that work around us as well." And so that's where we're at. And we have some more people coming in the next couple of weeks to get in a room and jam, and we'll see what happens. No telling who it is. There's no list of, who they've interviewed or who they've tried out. But they're on social media, and they're just waiting for people to be like, hey, I'm your person, guy or girl.
They basically say that in here, don't they? That, just, let us know if you're interested. Let us know if you're interested. They finished with Eric in, what was it, May-ish, because Lizzie Hale filled in May and June for the last 5 shows.
Right.
And he also says in this article that really opened up his eyes to a different point of view as a vocalist.
Sure.
Being female, and what she could bring. So I think he's trying to hint that maybe they would consider a female singer in this day and age. It would not shock me.
No, Linkin Park.
Yes, are a ton of talented female singers out there that would do justice probably to this uh, catalog. It just seems like they're not real worried about getting this done quickly.
No, that's apparent. That
Yeah,
is,
and I also think it's required that every few weeks they let us know that they are not bringing back Sebastian Bach.
yeah, that's a no brainer. Apparently,
Right.
now he goes on to address constant calls for Skid Row's reunion with Sebastian Bach, and he adds, "I'm not going to go out there and do it and fake it for the blank check. I've never been about that. Rachel's never been about that. Rachel Bolan and Scotty Hill have never been about that. So we're not going to do it." And there's been a lot of people saying, "Oh, just do it for the money." It's like, man, no, I'm just not built like that. And I'm smart enough. We're all smart enough to make sure that we've done okay with what we've made. And look, I don't have to live lavishly by any stretch of the imagination, but I could take care of my family. He goes on and on and on and on and on, basically saying, yeah, we know that it would make a great paycheck, but we're not going to do it.
Yeah, and we've talked about this. We've talked about
Countless
this because, I mean, even now the timing is coming up for the Poison tour. Next year, we're taking this much time to carefully pick a singer, probably going to be an unknown. My goodness, can you imagine Skid Row on that bill with Poison? I mean, that would be such a great show if you had Sebastian.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the crowds that would go to see that, and it's already going to be arena level. We said that last week. Sheds and arenas, but you throw original Skid Row in there, man, people would be clamoring for that.
Well, and we've said this before. Do we get something every month or so just to keep us on our toes?
You mean from this camp?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it. It seems like they like to keep their name out there, just checking in. There's a lot of bands that you hear nothing from ever, but not Skid Row. They're fine with talking about not having Sebastian Bach. They're fine with that.
Yeah.
I
apparently they've came close, or maybe not close, but they had some talks about it. They entertained the idea and went as far as talking with agents and promoters about money, but quickly learned after a few text conversations why we fired him in the first place. Him obviously being Sebastian Bach. Nothing is worth your happiness and peace of mind. So, I mean, this is like a WWE storyline.
Right.
Dude sucks. Right. We don't want nothing to do with him. And then all of a sudden the music hits and boom, there he is.
Right. We're setting ourselves up, right?
Yeah.
As any of these people, they probably haven't written biographies yet, have they?
I don't think so.
I would love a tell-all biography.
If it was true.
Well, yeah, especially when you get the perspective from 4 members.
Right.
Everyone's got their own. Kiss did this with. Everyone's got a book that was in Kiss, right? The 4 original.
Right.
And there's 4 different perspectives, but maybe that's okay because you get a bigger picture of what really went on if you read them all.
Yeah.
Not just someone else's story. This is my story.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, look at, and we'll mention them in a second, but look at Triumph.
I was just going to say, Rick Emmett wrote that book.
Yeah.
And he said that when they did the documentary, which is an excellent documentary if you haven't seen it, that was more a generalized version of the band,
right.
But it wasn't his story. So his story to tell is going to be in his book, and it was. And it was definitely not what I expected.
No.
Just a lot more things going on behind the scenes than I anticipated. So yeah, You get different perspectives from different. Well, for instance, I think at some point we're getting a Kevin Cronin biography. Kevin Cronin being the frontman for REO Speedwagon,
right?
And that's going to be a whole different perspective than if you had books from everyone else in that band, because that band's got a history of turmoil as well, and they're still in turmoil because now Cronin can't even tour with that name now.
Well, so, look at Jim Peterick.
No kidding. Oh my goodness.
And that's something that we we had to deal with firsthand, putting out our advertisement for him, and we had literally on purpose mentioned Survivor, right, only for management to come back and be like, hey, we're not trying to be a dick here, but can you guys take that off?
Right.
Right. What are we going to do? Say no? And
right.
then have him pull the plug on the interview.
And I enjoyed the interview with Peterick. It was a fun interview, but you could tell he had said everything he wanted to say in the book.
Right.
That would have been maybe controversial or something we could really dig into deeply. Plus, I think there may have been even more litigation that had maybe tied his hands a bit. Mm-hmm. I don't know that, but I felt like that when we were talking to him. And that's a shame too.
Yeah.
So on the other hand of that, Frankie Sullivan, write me a book, and then I could form an even better opinion of what's going on in Survivor or what did go on.
Yeah.
He's done interviews, but I'd love a book.
Yeah. Well, keeping with the tradition of talking about Skid Row, we're just going to roll right into Sebastian Bach. If you didn't know, on Friday, June 26th, let me try that again. On Friday, June 6th, one of the greatest and most successful Canadian rock bands of all time, Triumph, who we just mentioned, will be honored with a star-studded tribute album entitled Magic Power, All-Star Tribute to Triumph. It was going to arrive via Roundhill Records and will feature such renowned rockers as Dorothy, the aforementioned Sebastian Bach, Nancy Wilson, Joey Belladonna, Jeff Keith from Tesla, and Slash, all of them covering different Triumph tunes. And we'll go over the tracks here in a little bit, but there's 15 tracks. It features an amazing collection of musical firepower, including Kenny Aronoff, who's been out with the Sammy Hagar and his clan, Tommy right. Aldridge, Bumblefoot, Paul Gilbert, Nita Strauss, and it was conceived by renowned producer Mike Klink, who has produced classic recordings for Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, and Whitesnake. It can be pre-ordered by clicking on a link and going somewhere. But the amount of people that are on this, the participants are extremely honored to salute Triumph, including Phil X, who is actually quoted as saying, "It is so incredible to get back to my roots with my brothers Gil, Mike, and Rick. The Triumph fans will love this." We've had the opportunity to hear one tune, and so far it's the only one that's been released, and that was Rock and Roll Machine, with vocals by Sebastian Bach. Sebastian still has it. Whether Skid Row or not, he's still got it. He was my record of the year last year, so he still got it.
Right. And I found it interesting that he picked that song. He's actually got 2 tracks on here, but he picked that song in the sense that that's sung by the drummer, Gil Moore, in Triumph, who has a powerful voice, but not the high octave range that Rick Emmett does.
Right.
And what do we know Sebastian for? Being able to really scream it out, right?
Yeah.
But he does a really good job adding some metal grit to that song. And I wish I knew who played guitar on it, because it doesn't say here in the article, but the guitar work does the Rick Emmett stuff total justice.
Yeah. It is on fire.
It's really good. So if that's an indication of what the rest of this record is going to be like, it's going to be pretty impressive. It's going to be pretty impressive.
Yeah, we know who it wasn't. It wasn't Rick Emmett, and it wasn't Viper, because it's good.
No.
The 15 track listing includes, and we'll just run through all of them. 24 Hours a Day, Sebastian Bach. We've already mentioned Rock and Roll Machine from Sebastian Bach, and there's a couple of these where we're both kind of going to go, it'll be interesting. Joey Belladonna from Anthrax is singing Magic Power. Mickey Thomas is doing Spellbound.
You still got it. Mickey Thomas can still sing.
Oh yeah. This next one, I'm not sure. I'm very curious. Lay It on the Line will be sung by Dee Snider. Yes, Dee Snider.
It's gonna be interesting.
Somebody's Out There by Lawrence Gowan. Never Surrender from Dean Castronovo. That'll be pretty good.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Jeff Keith singing Hold On. Just One Night from Jason Sheff. I Live for the Weekend, Dorothy and Tyler Connolly.
That's going to be epic. That's a rocker.
That may end up being the best one on that album.
It's going to be good.
Right behind Dee Snider with Lay It on the Line. Fight the Good Fight, Nancy Wilson, which at the end of this, there's an encore Fight the Good Fight from Dino Jalusic. Phenomenal. This guy's voice is like it is that rock metal voice that you want in like Skid Row. You want it in all of these different bands. He's got a rockin' voice. The last ones, and I'll let you go back to that here in a second. Follow Your Heart from Jack Blades. That should be good if Jack's voice is held out. Allied Forces from Phil X and Envy of None will be doing Blinding Light Snow. Show. Why did I say snow? Blinding white snow.
That makes sense, though, right?
It does. Blinding Light Show. Envy of None. Who is Envy of None?
I don't know. I didn't get a chance to look them up. While you do that, I'll touch on Dino Jalusic. He's a Croatian singer, young guy. And the track I found to get an example of how he sings was a Starship song, Jefferson Starship. He covered Jane with Mike Portnoy and Joel Hoekstra.
I feel
like an amazing player. And like you said, vocally, he is something.
Yeah, shredder. Envy of None is a Canadian-American rock supergroup.
Okay.
Formed in 2021 by former Rush guitarist Alex Lifeson.
Ah, sweet.
Yeah. Along with bassist Andy Curran, vocalist, I'm going to mess this one up, Maya Wynn. It's M-A-I-A-H, Maya. That's what we're going to roll with. If we're wrong, sorry. And guitarist and keyboardist Alfio Annabellini. So it's a female fronted band that adds a little bit of interest, a little bit more interest to that song.
Right. If you're not familiar with that one, that's a very prog type piece. That's one of those that's about 10 minutes long. It has different movements and different pieces and stuff. It's a really, really good showcase for the prog leanings they had early on. So that'll be good, especially with Lifeson behind it, because Rush has those leanings as well, those progressive leanings. So that kind of
Viper says none of them are Milienko. You're right, they're not.
You know what? Was he not supposed to be involved in this? I wonder what happened.
I don't know.
I thought his name was there.
I think he was trying out for Skid Row.
I thought of something while we were talking about Skid Row, but we probably won't get this list since they are, searching far and wide for a singer, and they've auditioned all these people. Yeah. But all the stories, right? And they still come out. Some guy comes out, I was asked to audition for Van Halen when Roth left. It's everybody.
Yeah.
We auditioned, Pat Benatar, and we auditioned Tiny Tim, and everybody. Or when Ace Frehley left Kiss, everyone, came in to play guitar, right?
Yeah.
And I'm waiting to see who comes out of the woodwork and say, "Yeah, man, I was there. They asked me to come and sing for Skid Row, but it didn't work out."
It just didn't work out. Exactly.
Yeah, the list is endless.
It was exhausting. Tiny Tim. Kathy, I don't know. Is that a reference to either Triumph or singing for Skid Row? I mean, that's not a bad idea. Well, if they were looking for a drummer or a guitarist, they could probably get something from Tony Rombola or Shannon Larkin from Godsmack. It seems something's going on in that camp. Sully Erna recently said that personal things are preventing Shannon and Tony from touring with Godsmack. They kicked off their 2025 European tour on the 22nd, so Saturday, in Bulgaria. Filling in for Shannon Larkin and Tony at the gig were Will Hunt from Evanescence and Sam Bam Colton, who has played with Dorothy, Faster Pussycat, and Butterside, respectively. No word on what's going on. Sully's quoted as saying, "All I can tell you right now is that the band is in good health. We're in good spirits, but there's going to be a little bit of a different visual for everybody at the Sofia show, that they had in Bulgaria. Tony and Shannon have some personal things going on, and they're not with us. So we have a couple of guest musicians playing with us that are phenomenal." Speculation. I mean, that's the biggest thing right now.
Right. We don't know.
Yeah.
And when he says visually, he has a point. I've seen Godsmack live.
Yeah.
And Tony, the guitar player, is a focal point of every solo. I mean, as most guitar players are, but I mean, he is right up front. And when if you're sitting in the seats that I pay for, way out in the desert, you've got the big screens, and they are just right on everything he does. They're on his hands. They're on the smoke that's misting around him, the purple haze that coats him. He's such an intense player as well. It just makes you wonder what's going on. I would hate to see that. And Shannon, the drummer, you mentioned before we went on the air how fierce of a drummer he was.
Well, and him and Sully would have, drum offs.
Right. That was a big dynamic of the show.
Yeah. Shannon's a very fun person to watch. He's one of those, you talk about, watching Tony and him playing guitar. I was focused on Shannon and just the way he's very, very animated in the way he plays. And that sucks. Sully was asked to elaborate why Shannon and Tony were absent from this trek in Europe, and his response was interesting. He basically said, "I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I feel safe enough talking about that yet. Safe enough, because I don't want to give people the wrong impression. Right now, we're still at a stage where we're trying to figure out exactly what's happening, but we're also trying to respect their privacy. So whatever Tony and Shannon have going on in their personal life, we're just trying to respect that, and at the same time, still come here and put on a really great show." Again, speculation.
Yeah, it's a landmine. It's a minefield for Sully.
Yeah,
because he has to address it. He has to come out and address it, because obviously somebody's gonna notice. There are people that don't give two rats behinds who's on stage, and as long as Sully's there,
right?
And we've got other stories coming up that resonate that, but
yeah,
but he's got to address it. But it's so touchy because it's not his story to tell at this point. Yeah. So I appreciate him respecting it, but man, I wish I knew what was going on.
And I guess how many other bands would do that? You know, would respect that privacy or just leave it alone.
There's a lot of guys that would just be real snarky about it too.
Oh yeah, screw them. They bailed. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah. How many dates are we talking in Europe?
17. I don't know.
Okay. It's probably significant. So hopefully they'll return from that.
14 days.
Okay, so 14 days. Hopefully, whatever they've got planned later on, everyone can participate in, and we're okay. We'll see.
Exactly. We hope, because, you know, but they're not the only band that, you know, loses members. And we'll be getting into that again soon, too. Nor are they the only band that replaces members.
Inexplicably.
Not 20 some times. But
before
we get into that, though, there's some stuff going on with Winger.
Oh, yeah.
This one kind of threw me for a loop, but the band recently announced that it was embarking on a farewell tour of Australia and Japan in 2025. Reb Beach was asked about it, and in an article from Blabbermouth, he says, "It's too bad that Kip wants to end it. From my end, just because I'm loving it and I could do it another 10 years. But it's really hard on his voice. When he says he has a bad night, you'd never know it. I've seen singers have a bad night in this band, and his bad night sounds like a record. One note might be flat, or he might have trouble with 3 notes and miles away, and then afterward he's like, oh, that was so embarrassing. And it's like, no, those are 3 notes. Come on, man. These people go to see these singers from the 80s who just can't sing a note anymore. I won't mention any. And Kip's really, really amazing. But it's just such an effort for him to keep up that vocal excellence. We know that Kip Winger, you know, at first dabbled in a little bit of classical music, and then he dove in head first, composing and doing all of this stuff. Amazing work. You know, if you're into classical music, just phenomenal. There's no word yet on whether or not or actually when they're going to start doing their final dates in the U.S. But I'm sure if you know those other places are going to be 2025, will we see Winger on a Poison tour in 26 for farewell?
That would be good. See, that's another band that would really do well. I think.
Oh, I do too.
So, I have some thoughts. First of all, I'm surprised that they would call it a farewell of anything. I heard just Monday, privy to a private conversation, that Kip doesn't want to call anything a farewell because it doesn't mean he won't play again. And George Lynch said the same thing, because if someone gives them a bunch of money, yeah, we're going to play. You know, so to call anything a farewell, and nothing ever is ever over. It's ridiculous to call anything a farewell tour anyway. Rush knew they were ending it on their last tour, but never said it was a farewell tour. We all kind of knew that. I don't know why you say it.
Well,
anymore.
And Kip's not. He says at some point, I'm going to play a final show with the band. I don't know when it is, but that's not to say I might not do a cruise or something, you know, Monsters Rock, whatever. I don't really know. I'm not going, hey, this is the last show we're ever going to do, because,
there you go.
Well, hey, Kiss did it for 10 years. And he's not wrong.
Knows that. Yes, he knows that. Yeah. So why is Reb then saying, too bad he wants to hang it up? So they've had a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And one guy took it one way and the other guy's taking it like, I meant to say this, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, I can understand. We saw them, 2 years ago. And Kip sounded fantastic.
Yeah.
And like Reb says, you could tell there was a note here, a note there. I'm not. I don't have right in front of me how old Kip Winger is, but what is he? Probably in his early 60s, right? Let's say 62. Check me.
Oh, so
And
close. 63.
all right. So 63 years old and singing the way he did in 1988. That's tough. And boy, he come pretty damn close, I think, when we saw them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is the hardest thing because and I've talked about it before. Two things in bands are the hardest: drumming and singing. Drumming because it's so physical, and singing because it's all physical and it's age related, and there's just so many things tied to singing. You're a guitar player, as long as your hands hold up and you don't have arthritis or something like that, you can play forever.
Yeah.
You
And
can
if you're
play
a bass
forever.
player, I mean, who cares?
Right, right. And even drummers, if they're smart, can play as long as they want, as long as they're not flailing their arms everywhere and tearing rotator cuffs,
Yeah.
which happens.
Um,
So I just hate to hear anyone say that it's going to be the final show, because I don't think it's going to be the final show.
Right. Winger issued its 7th studio effort overall in 2023, the appropriately titled Seven. Kip is also a respected and successful symphonic composer, having issued recordings under the name CF Kip Winger. It's like CM Punk. While Reb Beach has been a member of Whitesnake since 2002, which Whitesnake will never tour again. And drummer Rod Morgenstein has served as a professor at Berklee College of Music, in addition to playing in a variety of other more jazz fusion-based products. So it's not like they're not going to have things to do, but it's always that dynamic of that core.
Right,
Always.
right. But here's the other thing that they're not saying. Doesn't mean they won't record either.
Right.
I would take another album like Seven.
Sure.
Who did you mention right before that? Another band. Anyway, again, they never said they wouldn't record. Whitesnake.
Yeah.
Never said they wouldn't record again. I don't think they will tour again.
No.
Because I think that again is physically too hard on David Coverdale. He was already relying on two other people to really fill the gap in vocally as backup singers.
Right.
So yeah, I don't. But you want to go in and record a record? Man, I'm there all day too. I'll take that.
Yeah, and Coverdale's 73 as well. So
yeah, big difference.
Yeah.
And Kip's worried about being 63 and struggling with what he does.
Yeah.
And he's amazing.
Maybe they need to get on DDP yoga.
Yeah. Will that cure your singing?
I don't know. Or they get on the tequila that Sammy's on.
Right, because he's a freak.
Yeah, because that seems to be working just fine.
It works just fine.
It's funny that that Kip makes it's not a jab. He's speaking facts about, farewell tours and Kiss doing it for 10 years. Because guess who's back?
And oh my goodness.
For the first time in a whopping 2 years, Kiss are set to return to the stage. According to an email sent to followers of the recently updated KissOnline.com, the group will perform an unmasked live show as part of a 3-day Kiss Army Storms Vegas event. The event is scheduled to take place November 14th through the 16th at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. The email notes that a full schedule of activities will be announced shortly, adding that fans can expect a special live performance from former Kiss member Bruce Kulick, along with other special guests, activities, experiences, and more.
Who might those special guests be, TBT?
I know who I would like for it to be, other than, who's already going to be there. Anything's possible.
We'll see. I think money will be a factor, but if you're calling this a Kiss Army celebration. Kiss Army storms Vegas. We're celebrating the Kiss Army. Wouldn't you want to base that around the 4 original members?
I would. But I would also want to base the final performance in the farewell tour with all of the original members. Whatever.
Right. In Kissland, you never say never. They're a lot like Vince McMahon when he would get rid of somebody and there was some heat, but then he would bring them back and like everything's okay, pal. Never say never in Kissland. And just the thought of Ace and Peter coming in for one show would be phenomenal if it happened. I think it'd take a lot for Peter.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't played in a very long time. He hung it up a while ago playing. Ace still plays all the time.
Yeah.
So that's feasible. And Kulik, see, there was animosity there for a little bit because they botched bringing him in on the farewell tour.
Huh?
And there was some heat. So I think they're making up for that at least, which is a good thing. Bruce has been carrying the 80s Kiss banner forever on those Kiss cruises.
Yeah.
He does a whole set of just 80s Kiss. So, and that begs you to think about if this is an unmasked tour, no makeup, no big stage setup, what are they going to play? Are they going to play 80s Kiss?
They're going to redo MTV Unplugged.
Now, come on. Well, on the other hand, anything's possible, and I'm not picking, but anything's possible if you don't sing live.
Right.
Absolutely. So are we going to sing?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This works out. I wouldn't be surprised with anything, especially when you consider that 17 of the 26 dates that Gene Simmons had for his solo tour have been postponed.
We should have known right away that something was up when Gene postponed all of those dates, right? Or he didn't postpone them. I think he canceled them.
No, they're postponed.
Really?
Yes, it is officially postponed.
Okay, that changes things because I was getting ready to say I had heard it was canceled because the tickets weren't moving because the prices were so high.
There's a lot up in the air right now about why they were postponed, but they've not been canceled yet. I mean, usually that's kind of how it rolls. They get postponed, and then it's like, yep, sorry, we're just going to have to cancel it. Now you can get your money back. Because if it's postponed, I don't have to give you the money back yet. You could keep it for, a rain check or whatever. But as soon as I cancel, well, then that's it. You have to get your money back.
Yes, the Sharon Osbourne promotional thing that she does. Yes,
exactly. The show near us was one of those included in the postponed shows. So, I mean, there's still some. There's a whole trek in May, like for the first 2 weeks, that are still going on. So all of April and the bottom half of May were canceled. Nothing is wrong with Gene. Apparently, that was one of the things they had to put out there. Gene is still healthy. He's fine. So
if this is in November, do you need that long to rehearse? Is that what this is about?
But why would you have to rehearse for one show?
Right. I mean,
acoustic.
Let's hope not. But couldn't you rehearse like a month ahead of time?
You would think so. So
now I'm going back to the ticket sales, struggling. On that end of it, I don't know. I don't think you need this long to get ready for November for one show.
I don't think so either.
Especially when these guys have been playing for now 50 years. That we're getting ready to jump into. I mean, yeah, but yeah, what do you play? And so you said 2 years. This article says 15 months after the final performance, which is an even shorter time frame for them to say, "Hey, we're done." 15 months later, no, we're back. But did they ever say they wouldn't play a one-off?
No, they just said that the current state of Kiss wouldn't play again. So basically, if they're wearing makeup, they're not going to play together. You won't see them in makeup. They will not be in makeup.
Right, and they said that we're saying good. They changed it a lot. They said, well, we're saying goodbye to the makeup.
Yeah.
We're saying goodbye to the original band. We're saying goodbye to forever. They kept changing it because you paint yourself in a corner.
Well, apparently they're saying goodbye to the amps.
Do you really think it'll be acoustic?
Yeah.
It doesn't state that anywhere, right? I'm not.
I don't know. I don't, for whatever reason, I don't know if I read it, but that's what I'm thinking. I think it'll be acoustic.
You know what? That would make sense in the sense that I believe when they used to do the Kiss conventions that, they would, that's where Kiss Unplugged came from.
Right.
They would come out and perform unplugged sets, and they would play those obscure songs and deep tracks and things like that people really wanted to hear. You may be right.
We'll see. We won't be there to find out, but we'll certainly hear about it.
And we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Shocking at least for you and I, when we read about this yesterday, as a matter of fact. Foreigner is going to embark on a Canadian tour this fall. But unfortunately, it will be without lead vocalist Kelly Hansen. Kelly Hansen, who has been with Foreigner since 1823, will not be with them for unknown reasons.
Does he know Sully?
Yeah, I don't know. Is he trying out for Skid Row?
There's all these stories tonight tie together somehow.
Yeah, and we've still got one more to go, which is going to take up the rest of the time.
That's fine.
Foreigner, they're going to have guest vocalist Jordy Brown filling in for Kelly Hansen. We don't know why. So if you're in Canada, watch the show. Don't look forward to seeing Kelly Hansen. Not going to see him.
No, it makes me speculate that when Kelly Hansen said he was getting tired of singing those songs, because it's hard to sing Foreigner, and he, again, is 62 years old or 63 years old, that we got to end it soon. It's a farewell tour. We're going to end it soon. And then they kept adding shows and adding shows. So was the only person saying it was a farewell Kelly Hansen? Because I never heard it from Jeff Pilson or anyone else.
It's not even mentioned that, oh, yeah, it's, that's what it is.
I don't know, but they're not having their singer, and Lou Gramm is not coming back.
No.
For this. It's a guy that did a musical in Canada, the musical Jukebox Hero, and he sings Foreigner songs and apparently does it very well enough to headline a tour with the band.
This is like a live version of Rockstar.
It kind of is, yeah.
Or Queen.
Right.
I don't know. If you haven't heard, Guns N' Roses has a new drummer. Isaac Carpenter, the newest drummer who will hit the road with the band throughout their 2025 European tour, takes the place of, who was the last one? Frank Fair.
Frank Fair.
Yeah.
Who had been in the band. Longest tenured drummer in the band, believe it or not.
Yeah.
19 years, right? Am I right? 19 years.
Yep. Here's an astonishing fact. There have been more than 20 musicians who have been in Guns N' Roses at some point or another. It's funny, few bands have had more lineup changes than Guns N' Roses. They've officially been a band since 1985, and there have been a total of 23 musicians who have been members since then. 23.
I feel like these are just associates. We're associated with it.
If you're there less than a year, you're an associate. If you're there for one album, are you an associate?
No, you're in the band.
Okay, so we're going to go with 1 year or less. Let's run through this. The Appetite for Destruction lineup was the one that became the most famous, which consisted of Axl Rose / Duff McKagan, Izzy Stradlin, and of course Steven Adler. However, there were a handful of musicians who were in the band during its infancy before that quintet was solidified as their lineup. Early on, and some of you may not know this, Tracy Guns was the band's lead guitarist, and thus they took the last names of him and Axl Rose to create the moniker Guns N' Roses. Tracy Guns, Axl Rose. Therefore, the original lineup actually consisted of Axl Rose, Tracy Guns, Izzy Stradlin, bassist Oli Biech, I don't know how to say it, and drummer Rob Gardner. As fate would have it, Guns, Biech, and Gardner all left, and that's when you got / McKagan and Adler, who took their places before the band embarked on a brief tour of the Pacific Northwest in 1985. That trip was when Guns N' Roses we know today were truly born. Let's go through the list. Of course, there's Axl Rose, who's been with the band since 1985. Tracy Guns was only with the band in 1985. So is
that all that counts? Really?
He's not an associate if the band is named after him, so he gets a pass.
No, but it's when you listen to Tracy tell the story, it sounds like 15 years of trying to get to the top with Axl.
Yeah. Izzy Stradlin was only with Guns N' Roses from 85 to 91. 6 years.
It seems like longer. Like longer.
Oli Biech was only in it for a year. I just love that name. My next dog. That's what I'm naming my next dog. Rob Gardner, the original drummer, only in the band in 1985. Duff McKagan, 85 to 97. Takes a very long hiatus. Comes back in 2016, and he's still a member of Guns N' Roses. Steven Adler, who I could have swore was in there longer, 85 to 90, only 5 years. / 1985 to 1996, so there's 11 years. And then back again in 2016 until now. So he's back. One of my favorite drummers of all time, Matt Sorum, 7 years.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good drummer.
And he was on both Use Your Illusion 1 and Use Your Illusion 2, with the exception of a couple of songs, and the 1993 covers album, The Spaghetti Incident. Then after Slash quit and Paul Huge became a member of the band, Sorum had a falling out with Axl Rose because Paul Huge came in and started talking crap about Slash, and Matt Sorum said, "You're not going to talk about him in front of me." And then Axl, the whole big story, yada, yada. Ouch, ouch, I quit. You're fired.
Never heard that.
Yeah. Dizzy Reed, 1990 until now. Still with the band. So, quite a while. Gilby Clarke was in for 4 years from 1991 to 95.
Dizzy would be probably longest tenured along with Axl, if you look at that timeline.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a long time.
I just said Gilby Clarke, 91 to 95. Paul Huge Tobias, 94 to 2002. So that's a good stretch, 8 years.
He does look huge.
Right. Josh Freese from 97 to 2000. So there's 3 years there. Robin Fink, 97 to 99. And then 2000 to 2008. Tommy Stinson, 98 to 2014. That's a pretty long stretch.
It is a long stretch. What were they doing?
16 years.
What were they doing?
He was the replacement for Duff McKagan.
Right, but they weren't. Were they touring? I mean, that's my thing. What were they really doing? They weren't doing anything. Except
Well, he was on Chinese Democracy.
Yeah, and that took 900 years to make.
Right, so there you go. That's what he was doing. Chris Pittman was on keyboards from 98 to 2016, so there's another one that's been long. Guitarist Buckethead, 4 years, 2000 to 2004. Brian Mantia, drummer for 6 years, 2000, 2006. Somebody run through the rest of these. Richard Fortas has been the guitar player from 2001 until now. Frank Fair, again, was 2006 until just like 3 days ago, which that was, 19 years. He was initially just supposed to be a touring replacement, but officially became a member in late 2006 and played on several Chinese democracy songs. And then he was official until like yesterday. Bumblefoot, 2006 to 2014, guitar player. DJ Ashba, everybody knows him. He was a guitarist for 7 years. Not sure what he did. I don't think he was on a single album.
Yeah,
Melissa,
right. Because you said when we were talking that he wasn't even on Democracy.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Melissa Reese, keyboardist from 2016 until now. And of course, Isaac Carpenter, drums from March 2025 until March of 2025. So lots of people. Sebastian Bach will probably be on that list soon, as will everybody from Motley Crue.
Well, it's just interesting if you know the story of Chinese democracy and how that's why there's so many of these people coming and going, and they're all involved because Axel's trying to piece together this magnum opus that he's doing, and we're getting pieces of this and snippets of that, and people are coming and going. That's really what that was, just piecing together that album. With, and depending on what you think of that record, there's some good stuff on that record.
Yes, my favorite song is Magnus Opus.
Hey, that's me speaking big words.
This was episode 127. We are the Weekly Pour Podcast. We should be back next week. I don't even know anymore if we're going to be here week to week. So either tune in. You know what? Hit that little bell or hit the little thing that says subscribe, and then you'll get a notification whether we're going to show up or not. Just do it. Nobody gets annoyed by it.
It's okay.
The Patriots, they just added a brand new wide receiver. Just came across.
Who would that be?
Patriots agreed to sign star wide receiver in a $69 million deal. None other